fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren, you're watching Dreams, Books, Courage, and today I'm going to be doing a summer recommendations video. Since it's just been 2 days since summer officially started, I decided that I should be doing a seasonal recommendations video. For a lot of people, whenever they think about summertime reads, they usually think about contemporary books. And so for these recommendations, half of the books are contemporary, but the other half are going to be like fantasy and that sort of thing. This way you get a really good mix of books that you could read for the summer, and I think that all of these books are really good to just make you get in that action adventure sort of mood. So even if you're not going on a summer vacation, you sort of feel like you are. And as always, half these books are books that I've read before and the other half are books that I have not yet read. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book I have to show you is one that I think about whenever I think about summer, which is kind of unexpected for what this book is, and that is The Lightning Thief, which is the first book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. And the reason that I think about this book whenever I think about summer is because I actually read this book during the summer, and I have vivid memories of like reading this while I was on a beach vacation. These books are mildly big and they're very quick reads because it is more of a middle grade series, but these books are just so amazing because they're all about these demigods' adventures. And the entire series is kind of playing off of Greek mythology, so you actually learn a lot while reading these books, and Greek mythology is just so amazing to me, and I think a lot of you would enjoy it as well. These books just have adventure after adventure throughout them, and there's never like a dull moment within them. So even if you're not going on vacation, you'll feel like you are going to a lot of different places, and the series is just perfect for the summer. This next book is one that I have not yet read, which is probably surprising to a lot of you, and that book is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is an absolute classic read, and a lot of people read it during school. I actually didn't, but I am planning on reading it this summer. This book was actually published more than 50 years ago, but its sequel is actually going to be coming out next month during July, and so I think this is the perfect time to read this book, and even to reread this if you've read it before, so then you can go ahead and pick up Go Set a Watchman. From what I've gathered, this book is about two kids and their father, who is a lawyer, and their adventures. This book explores a lot of hard topics like racism, so I think it's a very important read. And if you're having a hard time with classics, I think this one would be a really easy one to start off with. This next book I actually don't have the physical copy with me because right after I read it, I let my mom read it because it is that amazing of a read, and that is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I read this just a week ago and I could not believe how amazing this book was. I just loved every single thing about it. Now it's one of my favorite books of all time, so obviously that's saying a lot for this book. But I feel like this is the quintessential read for the summer because it's all about Amy and Roger and how they go on this epic road trip that's like all across the country. And they don't just go to like normal tourist destinations, they go to a lot of places that I've never even heard of, but now I really want to go to because they just made it sound so amazing. This book has a lot of unique features like playlists and menus and just different things like that. I think that after you read this book, you'll want to go on a road trip too, but if you don't get the chance to go on one, at least you go on these epic adventures with Amy and Roger. And the next book we're going to be talking about is Every Day by David Levithan, and the sequel to this book actually comes out later this year. But this book is about a guy named A, and every single morning he wakes up as a different person. And one day whenever he wakes up, he meets this girl and then he falls in love with her. So like throughout the story, he's just trying to find his way back to that girl to get together with her, which sounds very, very interesting, and I don't know how that would be able to happen. Although this book sounds kind of like it's a light fantasy read, it also targets a lot of hard topics. And the premise alone of this book just sounds so interesting that I think whenever you get into this book, you'll really delve into it and you'll just be enraptured with the story. So I think that would be the perfect adventure to go on this summer. This next book is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith, and this is a very interesting contemporary book because although it does not take you on a road trip, it does take you to a lot of different places. One night Lucy and Owen end up meeting in their apartment building and they fall in love, but then they have to leave each other for different circumstances, and Lucy moves to Scotland and Owen ends up going on a road trip with his dad across the United States, so you definitely get to visit a lot of places. And although this book has some romance in it, a lot of this book also deals with self-discovery, so this book isn't overboard with the romance and it has a lot of travel in it. Next, we have a book that I definitely plan on reading this summer just because it just seems like such a summery book, and that is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. And this is about a girl named Emmy who gets to live in her brother's Los Angeles apartment over the summer. And I think this book is majorly about self-discovery, but also it takes place in Los Angeles, which is a very summery city. And I've heard good things about this book and just the topics that it deals with. And even this cover looks pretty summery to me, so I think that this is definitely the best time of year to read this. Next up we have a trilogy, and that is the Penryn and the End of Days trilogy by Susan E. A lot of you probably know what this is about because I've talked about it so much on my channel recently. I'll actually leave a link to my book discussion over this one down below in case you want to hear more about my thoughts on it. But for a brief synopsis, this book also takes place in California, but it is California in a very apocalyptic state, and evil angels are trying to take over the place. This trilogy is just so fast-paced and action-packed and epic. It's creepy and there's a bit of romance in it, and just everything about this trilogy is perfection. If you pick up any fantasy series this summer, I would definitely suggest you pick up this one, and you'll probably forget that you're staying home over the summer because you are so wrapped up in this trilogy. Next, we have another fantasy trilogy, and that one is the Fifth Wave trilogy, but this one actually hasn't been completed yet, so there are only 2 books out in this series so far, and the third one is coming out either later this year or early next year, so this is the perfect time to jump into this trilogy. And also there is going to be a movie coming out over the Fifth Wave. This also takes place in an apocalyptic setting, except in this universe aliens are trying to take over in waves. And this one is obviously primarily over the Fifth Wave. I've only heard amazing things about this first book. This sounds like such a unique book, and I've never actually read a series about aliens, so this sounds like the perfect place to start. So if you're in the same boat as me, this is the perfect time to get into this series. Next, we have Paper Towns by John Green, which is a great summer read, especially since there is a movie adaptation coming out over this next month. And to me, it is the perfect mix of adventure and romance and travel, and it also has a mysterious element within it. Half of this book is more of a mystery, and the other half is a road trip. And of course, road trip books are perfect books for summer. And I don't want to tell you too much about this book because I think it's just better to go into it without knowing too much. But this features a cast of very unique and humorous characters, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. And this final book is one that I know a lot of people are reading this summer, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. And personally, I feel like I'm saving this book for like a special time to read it because I know it is going to be so amazing. But this takes place in a virtual world, which already sounds like an epic concept. And I think that all the players in this world are like searching for this special key. The real world is in a horrible place within this book, and so all of humanity is logged onto this virtual world, which is like infinite. And that concept alone sounds amazing to me. And I think for a lot of you that especially love video games, this would also be perfect for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Tell me down below which book you would recommend for the summertime. I'm currently at 1,900 subscribers, which only puts me 100 away from reaching 2,000. So if you have not subscribed already, I would love it if you did so. And whenever I reach 2,000 subscribers, I would love to do a special video for you guys. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them down below because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And now I'm gonna go get back to reading.